Goody everyone, this is Dayhawk, bringing to you episode 51 of Shaman King 2001. So this episode begins with a brief flashback, you might say, where Silva gets paralyzed by these three people. And we get a glimpse of who they are, and they're after Amiramaru. And as you remember, Silva was trying to get some answers of what's going on with the whole, if you remember from the last episode, evil priestess, darkness, that sort of thing. And Silva went down to investigate, but he gets paralyzed. And we get into the episode now where you see Mikihisa just doing some writings on Silva's clothing, and Silva's like, "Are you sure this is gonna work?" And it leads to this cutscene where he draws a drawing of Silva, and Silva is like, "Are you for real right now?" But eventually, Mikihisa breaks the paralyzing spell and has a brief talk with him, saying that Mikihisa knows who they are, and there are monks who is trying to seal away evil spirits. And it leads into this cutscene where you could see the three monks and the Lily Five, who are tied up right now. And they want answers to where's Yo, and of course, the Lily Five doesn't know where they are. And the Lily Five try to fight them off, but the three monks unleashes their spirits on them, and they end up sealing their spirits. And it is thanks to Fudo's power, you guys are freed from evil spirits. So they claim. And so, because of this, there's been mysterious, not disappearance, but mysterious occurrences that some of the shamans just went home because something to do with their spirits being sealed away, and it's strange how the Shaman 5 has been postponed 3 times. So something's fishy is going around here. And they want to speak with Silva, but Silva was caught spying by Amiramaru that, "Hey, Silva's here." And Anna throws a rock at him for just spying. And traditional Anna, she ties Silva with her beads, and he's explaining that there were numerous shaman who came here and just suddenly disappeared, or they just decided to go on home. Then all of a sudden, Tokugero disappears, and all of a sudden you see these weird marks on Ryu's wooden sword. And we get into this cutscene where Fudo has a plan, and he has a spirit tied, not a bind, with chains. So I wonder who that spirit is, Meanwhile, Manta and God, I forgot her name. But do forgive me. It just, her name always slips my mind. But they spot the Lily Five, It looks like they're packing their bags, and then it cuts to Amiramaru, who thought that he sensed the presence of Mosuke, which is his best friend. And also, Amiramaru hears that people are talking about him, that he's an evil spirit here and there, and which makes Amiramaru doubt himself, that he ends up feeling that he's an evil spirit. And then it cuts to the Lily Five and Manta, and they're talking of how these three people seal their mediums. And as they were talking, Fudo and the two monks were there spying, and they decided to combine Mosuke, which was the spirit that was chained up, and some evil spirits, and infuse them inside Manta. So he does that. He ends up, Manta gets possessed, goes on not a rampage, but goes crazy, and just runs off, and goes, and later on at night, you see possessed Manta forging a sword. And Yo and Amiramaru shows up, wondering what's going on. And possessed Manta ends up whacking him with the hammer. And then Fudo pops out of nowhere, introduces himself. And Fudo mentions Mikihisa, and Mikihisa, with his always spying on top of some tree, pops out and just states what Fudo is not a bad man. It's just that he thinks that all spirits that attach themselves to people are evil. So like shamans who fight along with spirits, Fudo deems them to be evil, and by sealing them away, it's like saving them, cleansing them from their evil. And Fudo also mentions that he followed Amiramaru because he apparently escaped his seal at the gravesite, and then he has another keeps talking about, shamans are mere fools controlled by evil spirits after being possessed. And then Faust gets all crazy, and then all three monks ends up subduing Mephisto E. And then we get a flashback where Fudo and the two other monks is going around Japan and and just sealing away evil spirits to their sleep. And that's their job as monks, because they're what they call exorcists. The only difference is that they seal spirits away. They don't send them into the afterlife. And Fudo tries to seal away Amiramaru, but Yo is like, no, he's my friend. He's not an evil spirit. And then that's where Amiramaru tells the story of how he ended up getting sealed. And apparently, the monk that sealed Amiramaru away was actually Fudo's ancestor. And in Fudo's mind, you might say that he came to reseal Amiramaru, which was his reason for asking for Yo and Amiramaru. But Yo is telling him that he's not evil, we're friends, and I'm not gonna let him go. And then Fudo unleashes possessed Manta. However, during his walk towards Yo to try to attack him, Manta and Mosuke are talking, and he figured that the only way to break his bindings is an oversoul. And in order to do that, he needs to find something as a medium. And it turns out that the medium is nothing more than his laptop. And after a successful oversoul, Mosuke and Manta are free from Fudo's control and ends up whacking Fudo with a hammer. And then Yo unleashes the spirit of sword and ends up defeating Fudo. And at the end of the battle, Yo asks Fudo to release everybody's spirits, but he doesn't want to do it. Then Mikihisa ends up not confronting him, but just approaching him and just says, I understand what you're trying to do. I understand why you have such deep hatred, you might say, to spirits. It's because when Fudo was young, he was possessed by spirits. Numerous ones. And he just couldn't forgive himself for being possessed by them. And Fudo thought that sealing away spirits was the righteous thing to do, but Anna just slaps him and just asks him this simple question. Are you the one who's being possessed by being righteous? Think about that. Aren't you the one who's being possessed by righteousness? That's a question that goes in deep, in my opinion. And Fudo eventually just give and ends up unsealing every spirit. And Amiramaru and Yo just wonders after the battle, like, where is Mosuke? I haven't seen him. And they assume he probably returned to heaven. But here's the ending part, which is kind of a silly ending. Mosuke is trapped in the laptop, and he doesn't know how to leave the laptop, so he's trapped in there. Oh man, and that's the end of the episode, believe it or not. Mosuke is trapped in the laptop. The laptop from hell. Yeah, I know, I used it. What do I think about this episode? It was a good episode. It had its funny moments. Amiramaru was questioning his own self because many people are assuming that Amiramaru was evil, to the point where he started to believe it's himself. And Yo is trying to tell him that you're not evil, you're a good spirit. And the way he was protecting Amiramaru from Fudo's attacks, I mean, it says something. And tells Fudo that, not all spirits are evil. And it just strengthens their friendship even more. And Fudo's story is kind of sad. And I can understand where that hatred comes from after being possessed by multiple spirits. And I mean, you're a kid. You don't know how to find a way to stop being possessed. I'm sure Yo had similar problems, like Mikihisa pointed out. Mosuke has returned, but he is trapped in a laptop, and he's not gonna pop up until sometime later on. Does it Now that Manta has been possessed by a spirit, does that mean that he will become a shaman? The answer is yes, because if you remember, Ryu was possessed by Tokugaru, and being possessed by a spirit means and ends up uh, unlocking the path to being a shaman. Will Manta consider being trained as a shaman now? I don't know. But we will have to wait and see. I'm not sure in the reboot he will be possessed by Mosuke. I have no idea. We have to wait and see. But right now, both the reboot and the original, they both seem to be night and day. So it will be interesting to do a compare contrast to the very end of both shows. So all I know is it's gonna be a long video. So until then, hopefully I'll see you again. If you give a like if you like it. Give a dislike if you don't. You know the drill. And I will see you all on the other side of oblivion. Johnny!